I wanted to ask you something that I heard you guys say, go deep. And we want you to go deep, and by deep we mean going general. But then another spiritual teacher that I really love has talked about shadow work, where when you face your fears and you look into them and you dive deep, then you shine the light of consciousness on them and transmute the energy. So I was wondering what Abraham had to say about those two things, like going general versus purposely, trying to love yourself by facing your fears and acknowledging them.
Well, we've been talking a lot about the process of creation and how knowing what you don't want is the very beginning of the launching of the clarity or the rockets of desire or the vibrational stream of what you do want. So it's important to acknowledge that you were born into this leading edge time-space reality with the intention of exploring the variety, that the contrast is something that you understand as a good thing, that all expansion is born from it, that without the ability to know what is not wanted, you couldn't know what is wanted. Then once you've launched that rocket, that's what we've been talking about all morning here. Your source or inner being or whatever you want to call that non-physical part of you becomes a vibrational equivalent by focusing upon the outcome that you're seeking, the results that you want, the desire that you hold. And because source is not resistant in nature and is not trying to prove worthiness and is not living out here on the leading, bleeding edge like you are, source is able to hold steady that clear vision of what you are asking for, making it possible, even likely, for you to feel your way to that vibrational frequency. Even though the contrast that you lived, you weren't in that frequency, but it caused you to launch the rocket of what you do want, and now you have to find a way to find that vibrational equivalent. So the way we've been teaching it is, once you know what you do want, now, as you feel your way toward the thoughts that feel better, in time, you'll become such a natural, usual, often vibrational harmonizer with your desire, not with the absence of it, but with your desire, that now the full manifestation of it happens. That's how thoughts and desires become the see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it reality that you all are seeking. So that's step 1 and 2 of the process. Step 3 is holding steady to the vibration of what you're wanting until step 3 really is coming into sync with it and allowing it to then manifest. Recently, we've been talking about step 4, which is really nothing more than mastery of that. It's awareness of the way you feel, conscious awareness of the way you feel, and true desire to feel good. So much so that you're willing to choose the thoughts that do feel the best, so that you become more of a blended being, more blended with that larger part of you, not void of contrast, but blended more of the time in an expectant place of well-being. And then step 5, just begun identifying step 5, is where you no longer are mad at yourself when you're standing in step 1. Step 5 is where you acknowledge the benefit of contrast. And so that's what we think that you're talking about a bit there. But these are the very powerful things that we want to say in response to this important question that you put forth here. Whatever you give your attention to, you are practicing the vibrational frequency of. And if you are practicing the vibrational frequency of, you're not going to leave it behind, you're going to cause it to be more. And momentum about whatever it is you are giving your attention to is going to become more. Now sometimes people believe, and we are not denying that this can be the case, when you face your greatest fears, there's a lot of stuff down in there that's going to cause a lot of rockets of desire to shoot out of it. In other words, that's like deliberately standing in step 1 almost for the purpose of launching the rockets of desires. But people usually don't survive an intense scrutiny of what is not wanted. That's why every disease after it is diagnosed becomes more, at least for a while, because your attention to the subjects holds you in a frequency that does not allow you to experience the difference from the reality that you are focused upon. So we certainly would not deny that contrast will launch rockets. We know that. We teach that. It's a fact of universal life. And we certainly will never deny that once the rocket is launched, that there is not expansion, because there is. That rocket launching is expansion. You have become a more expanded being when that happens. But you've got to find a way to consistently line up with it. And so all we would say in response to that is, if you feel like you need to go really deep and really dark into the shadows in order to ferret out the stuff that's wrong, in order to discover what's right, then go for it. But almost everyone we've ever known got lost in the shadows along the way, because the vibrational frequency of that pattern of thought just holds them there. You cannot deny that what you think about matters. That's why we were so strong this morning in anticipation of you sitting here and presenting us with this. We want you to know that your thoughts do matter. Every thought matters. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't think a thought that is detrimental in one moment or in one day and then begin thinking thoughts that are more beneficial in others. But the likelihood of moving from the thought that doesn't feel good to the thought that feels better is not that likely, because of the momentum of the thought. Law of attraction and momentum are the same resource. Esther was laughing and not laughing because she wanted to laugh about it and make light of something that she realized was rather important. She decided to entertain herself when she's alone at night by watching some series on television, and then began noticing that her life was changing in reflection to the series that she's expecting zombies any day. In other words, you just cannot give attention to something without it becoming part of your vibration. And if you do it over enough period of time, it becomes something that registers in your point of attraction. And so our encouragement is to do the light work. It's more natural to you. Don't go to the shadows. If you've lived something not wanted and you've bounced from it, then focus upon what you're bouncing off. But such a scrutiny of all of the details does not serve you very well. That's why therapy lasts so long.